Okay, this next section will be on ellipses. Ellipses. Okay, we're going to look at the shape of ellipses. We're going to kind of get familiar with the equation for ellipses, and then we're going to graph them, okay? Actually, pretty easy, right? This first assignment here. So here we go, ellipses. Well, ellipses look like this, right? Let's say they're going to have a center, so let me just draw a crosshair. They'll have a center. And then they're not a circle, right? They're not a perfect circle, so they don't have a radius. On the major axis where they're longer, right, you'll have vertices. Let's say that, by the way, this will be whatever this point, whatever this distance from the center is here, it's the same distance away here. And we're going to mark those points, and then you're going to have also the same distance. I'm sorry, you'll have a different distance, a shorter distance. If it's this way, we'll have a shorter distance, and we're going to mark these dots here, but honestly, the vertices that they're going to call out are always on the major axis. So you'll have 2 points, and you'll have a longer or a major axis, a longer side, and then you're going to have a shorter side. And then obviously you draw your ellipse, right, which looks like a, well, this elliptical shape. Kind of like a, it's an ellipse, right? So it's not a circle, it's an ellipse. This, if it's kind of stretched out or longer this way, this one's considered this way from here to here. This one's the major axis. Can you guys see this? I'm writing this sideways. This is the major axis. It's going this way. I mean, it's longer this way. Obviously, it's shorter this way. This one is the, this one would be the what? Kind of like the opposite of major. This is the smaller or the shorter one. This one's called the minor axis. This way. All right, so you're going to identify, and you'll be using the center, right? The center, we started off from there. So this is your center, wherever the center is. That is the center of your ellipse. You're going to give the coordinates of the center, and they're going to ask you to also give the coordinates of the vertices. Now you kind of have 4 vertices, right? These vertices are these points that I used. I went this same distance for the major axis, and then you went the same distance from the center for the minor axis. But when they actually ask you for the vertices, they only want the vertices on the major axis. So there's only 2 vertices that they're going to call out, and they're the ones on the major axis. So this is one of the vertices, and this is the other one here. I mean, plural, it's vertices, but it's like a vertex and a vertex, right? But it has 2 of them, and it's only on the major axis. For some reason, they don't call out the ones on the minor axis. So you'll have some ellipses that are elongated this way, kind of stretched out this way. And you're also going to have some that are, let's say, let me draw another axis here or another center here. Right, this is my center, but let me call it out later. Okay, so you'll have some ellipses that have the major axis this way, right? So instead of being longer, kind of like vertically this way, they're going to have the major axis, so it'll be longer this way. So I'm just going to go a little bit longer this way, and whatever the distance this is from the center, it'll be the same distance away this side. And then this, and then these will be the minor axis, so these will be a little bit shorter, right? And that's how you'll create an ellipse, right? This is the major axis, this is the minor axis, and you're going to use those to help you graph, right? So graph this one, it'll be like this. Kind of looks like half of a parabola and then another half of a parabola like that, but it makes a what? An ellipse. Aye. Going off again here. So see, this one's major axis this way, it's kind of like standing up, or longer stretched out vertically. This one, see, now your major axis is this way. All right, not too bad, right? That'll be your major axis. Obviously, this one will be your minor axis, right? This one will be the minor axis. The center is obviously there, the center of everything right there of the ellipse. That's the center. And then the vertices again. The vertices that they're going to ask you to give the coordinates for are on the major axis. Let's go back to this one. This one, the major axis was this way. See, it's longer this way. So the vertices are here. So when the ellipse is stretched out this way, the major axis is horizontal. Then this is the major axis. So it means that this will be the vertices, this one here and this one here. Right, these will be your vertices. The vertices are along the major axis, and then you'll just give the coordinates for that. Okay, so we got ellipses that'll be sketched and graphed this way, ellipses that'll be sketched and graphed this way. Okay, so now let's look at the way that we're going to graph this out and familiarize ourselves with the formula. Here's the formula for ellipses. The equation, or the equation for ellipses, equation for an ellipse. Now, we're not going to use the whole equation in a sense, so here it is. The equation for an ellipse is this. X minus h squared over a squared plus y minus k squared over b squared is equal to 1. We always got to make sure it's equal to 1. Okay? And a thing to watch out for is, well, sometimes this will be your a squared and this will be b squared, and then sometimes it'll be pretty much the same. I don't want to confuse you with two formulas because it's really not two formulas. But sometimes this a will be under the x squared and sometimes it'll be under the y squared. And if the a is over here, that means the b squared is over here. See it over here? The a squared is under the x, the b squared is under the y, and here it's switched. Now what's the difference? Well, here's the difference. It's actually going to be the same, but in this first scenario, if this number here, if this number is greater, it's bigger than this one, then you'll see that since it's under the x, this will be an ellipse where this number is bigger. That means you go longer on the x. So that means that these points will be longer, these will be shorter. So this one where the number that's under the x is greater, well, the x-axis is this way, right, left and right. That means you'll graph an ellipse that's longer horizontally. And in this scenario over here, I mean, it's not a different equation. All it is you just got to see which number is bigger. When the number that's bigger is under the x, whatever this a squared number is, if it's under the x, that means it's going to be longer horizontally, right? Because x is horizontal and y is vertical. So if the x is longer, that means it's an ellipse that's longer this way. The major axis is horizontal. When your a is under the y, then that's when this number's bigger. If a squared is greater than b squared, but now it's under the y, that means these points are going to be longer this way, and these other points will be shorter, so now it's going to be longer, right? Because the number's under the y squared, it's going to be longer this way. That's how you know whether you're graphing one that's okay, but it's going to be much easier than what's happening here. Once you see the numbers and everything, it'll be easy. Okay, now we're going to start with ellipses centered at 0, 0. For an ellipse, for ellipses centered at 0, 0, right at the origin, for this equation, x minus h squared over a squared plus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. Well, if you put a 0, oh yeah, by the way, here's your center. You're going to find it up here, where this will be h and k. The center will be h and k, but since h and k right here are 0 and 0, since I'm going to put here a 0, x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0, right? Since the center is 0, 0, then you're really just going to see this. X squared over a squared plus, see, there won't be a number. You'll just see x by itself. And then you'll see the y squared by itself. Y take away nothing is y, right? Right? So essentially, an ellipse centered at 0, 0, there won't be any numbers, no h and k here. It'll be like just x squared and y squared. You will have numbers here. Okay, so we'll start graphing those in the next video. Okay, so watch here. Yeah, make sure you look at the next video. The next video, we're going to graph these out.